Never mind. We talked about cyber terrorism yesterday, right? So today we will be looking at social media crimes, and then we look at the IT law. So I teased IT law a couple of classes back. So what is that? We'll look into that also. Firstly, social media is dedicated website or an application that permits users to communicate with one another by posting data, comments, messages, etc. So this is like your typical Facebook, Instagram, and these days even LinkedIn is acting as a social media platform where people share their posts and their job updates and so on, right? So that is your social media. Then Facebook is there, in Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube. So now it's not just a watching platform. You have the ability to go in there and have followers, follow somebody, comment, like, and stuff. So even YouTube has become sort of a social media platform. We looked at Follower Wonk, and this is a tool which uses Twitter's geolocation data. So if you're on Twitter, you can use this tool called Follower Wonk to get the location data of somebody who you're following, some Twitter account, and it will gather the data based on the tweets that they've done or the activity they might have done, right? So this is Follower Wonk. We also looked at Sherlock, so they can use to get your social media platform usernames. Like we did try this, right? So we checked username. I checked my own username and found out a couple of profiles on different uh, platforms. So you can use Sherlock to do that. Then you can use the harvester to find information like emails or websites, URLs, all those things regarding your target, the target domain, and you can get the contact information about about that company. So if you're looking to footprint some company, you can get the contact details of that. So now, what once you get that data, what all can be the misuse of that? So the Bromium report explains how the cyber attacks are facilitated by social media platforms, and it includes a global distribution center for malware. That is, the report explains that 20% of organizations have been infected by malware via social media. People share your stories and posts there on social media, but that is also where people also share malicious softwares. They put it up on their maybe profiles, send it via the messaging platform on that social media, right? And the people, because you're receiving it in with from a so-called friend on your social media platform, you might be intended or inclined towards opening that link. It is again a form of phishing going on here, wherein you pretend to be a friend, and with that, trust that you've gained, you send them a link or an application which installs some malicious software on their systems. Specifically, the spread of crypto mining malware. So simply clicking on a YouTube advert could end up in crypto mining malware infection. Now, we'll be looking at what crypto and blockchain and all these things are in the next session. But what this crypto mining software does, or this malware does, is that it will install on your system. It will run on the background, and it will use your system's resources, your RAM, your memory, storage space, and everything, right? So as long as your system is up and running, its resources will be dedicated towards mining crypto, and that too not for yourself, for somebody else in a remote location. So in a sense, he's using this as a cloud platform wherein your system is the cloud server for him. So he's going to mine crypto and he's going to benefit from that. Your resources will be exhausted. You will get a slow performance from your PC, and you will not even get any benefit of the crypto, right? So this crypto mining malware, and this took off this very recently. Not very recent in terms of I think this was pre-COVID, but when the COVID bubble, so sorry, when this crypto bubble was rising, so this malware also rose to a new high where many systems were infected with this malware. The boundary between the darknet and social media is blurring across social platforms such as WhatsApp and Instagram, which are now promoting and selling the tools of the hacker. What do I mean when I say this? Right? On the dark web, you're basically anonymous. You can send anything, receive anything, broadcast anything, and nobody will get to know that you are on the dark net, or you are doing something there where you are hosting those files, because unless they have that exact onion, I'm not talking about the URL is the actual address of the person you're sharing with, the the web page so called, is on a onion, this onion page. It is not HTTP. This is not a HTTP or HTML sort of thing. Onion is a different protocol altogether. That is why you have a specific browser that we use, Tor browser. There might be other applications out there, but then Tor browser is the most famous one out there, which is, I think, many people use it. So essentially, you're anonymous over there on dark web. Similarly, on WhatsApp and Instagram, what is happening is that we are promoting encryption, end-to-end encryption. So what that reflects upon is that you can share anything with somebody, and your governments or your any intermediary will not be able to see what you've been sharing, essentially making it a tunnel, that is an underground network, and sort of your dark web only. So you're replicating what is happening on the dark web using WhatsApp, using Instagram, which are now encrypted, right? So this is how the hackers can now proliferate even on the surface web using WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, all these platforms wherein conversations are now encrypted. Now, types of social media crimes. Sorry for this blurry image, right? Uh, Firstly, this is profile hacking. I'll do one thing. I'll write these down side by side. So, this is profile hacking, right? So this is your hack. You hack somebody else's profile. You want to do if some change something, some things there. Get your change his password also, so that he cannot even access his account. This is photo morphing, basically your photoshopping or deepfakes and all those things, wherein you manipulate somebody's photo or media and make it look like that they are the ones in the photo, but maybe it is something that is fake or taken from some other website. We talked about cyber porn in excess, right? So you can imagine what kind of uh, bad things can happen here in this domain. This is offer and shopping scams. Offer and shopping scams. So what happens in these? I think many of us would have seen these, wherein you get links, you get advertisements about some products that are being sold on social media, right? And if you click on it, you'll be taken to a website which looks to be genuine. There is no doubt that it looks to be genuine, but and the products also, they look to be very appealing and maybe on a very reduced price. You'll see that they are below the market price even. I've seen advertisements about Apple's AirPods or some such expensive things being sold for pennies on the dollar on such websites. So it gives me that vibe that firstly, so I feel that how cheap it is not possible, right? So that is why it tips me off that okay, this cannot be genuine. But then people do fall for that. They buy it from there, and the key thing to note there will be that it will not have cash on delivery. You will have to pay in advance, and that is where the scam lies. Because since you pay, you have no guarantee that you'll be receiving it, and then there is no way to trace that person because they might be using VPNs, they might be hiding their location, they may be operating from the dark web. Who knows? So all these things are also happening. Then there are romance and dating scams, right? Romance and dating. So herein people will, you say, your Tinder or Bumble, I think, I don't know. So those sort of applications are there. There are also some serious ones like Shadi.com and all these websites are there. So people will create accounts there and they will try to scam people. They will pretend to be these really good spouses or couples for you and your partner basically, and they will try to lure you in, maybe being too good for you, and then once you are involved emotionally, they will try to exploit you, maybe use your money, your resources for silly things like a recharge or for serious things like buying certain expensive gifts, maybe to appease the family members or something. They'll use that scam in an elaborate way to create such a persona that you really need to pay them or do such things in order to sustain the relationship. This is link baiting here. I think my handwriting is worse than this blur. So anyway, I'm sure many of us have seen these. I'll give you an example. Uh, some people share it on WhatsApp or on their statuses or in messages. They share this link about some Amazon gift, free things, right? They'll say that I spun this wheel. It gave me something, I want something, but it is asking me to share it with 10 friends. And if those 10 friends open this link, I will get that reward. Well, that reward will never be delivered to them. That is for sure. Secondly, the more people click on that, something is happening behind it, right? You have to think from the perspective of the hacker. Why would somebody, firstly, if it was genuine, why would Amazon want you to share it on with different people? What is the point there? But if you look at it from a hacker's perspective, if more people are clicking on that link, I think something is happening to your system out there. When you're clicking it, maybe you're inherently running some script on your web browser. Maybe you're installing some software that you're not even realizing it is happening behind the scenes, right? And then once that happens, maybe you become a part of the DDoS attack, wherein your system is behaving like a bot, which can be activated at a later date to attack some websites which you'll not even realize that is happening from your system, or some other spyware or so and so, right? So those are clickbaits. You click it and you're done. So you should not open such links, right? Do not believe that you'll ever get a reward from there. Nobody any does anything for free. There is nothing called free here. Even when we use free apps, like these free so-called free apps, or free platforms like Facebook or Instagram, we feel that it is free, but then they are selling our data. They are advertising on our pages depending on how we are searching on the internet. So our data is being sold there. And even on the free apps, they are collecting all that information about your activity on the app. Based on that, a profile is being created which is used by other websites and other companies. So nothing is really free here. In fact, if they're asking you for some money, straightforward, to give you that good experience, I think it is worth it if they claim to not share your data. I think that premium, for me personally, would be better. In contrast to doing something for free, wherein my data is shared behind my back, because my data is far more valuable, right? And I'm not getting anything out of it. It's the companies that are gaining, not me. So we have to decide whether we want to trade between that free application for our privacy. Which brings us to this info theft. So this is again what I was just speaking about. Companies, when they are doing it without your consent, it is sort of theft. And there are other forms also wherein you hack somebody's system, get the data and all. But I'm specifically highlighting because this is linked to your information theft, those free apps. And this is lastly, we have cyberbullying. So this also we talked about when we were talking about cyber stalking, and when people they bully you into doing things because they have something on you, maybe a morphed photo, some post you made long ago. I still remember when I had a Facebook, so now I have deactivated it because I do not want to be on such a platform. But then there was a time when I was on Facebook, and I remember the kind of post I had made when I just joined it, and 10 years later when saw those posts, I was like, what did I do, right? And there were some awkward ones there, and I would like to say that there were some compromising ones out there, because somehow my photo gallery was linked to the Facebook thing. I did not realize it. It was creating a mobile album on its own. So that was again a scary thing that happened with me, and that is that could be used for cyberbullying if somebody was digging things on me. So I had to deactivate, delete my Facebook and everything, and that is why I do not trust these free platforms. From as far as I can throw them. Now we have certain laws for cyber crimes and these social media crimes, but they're not very. They're still evolving, as I said. Laws still catching up because crimes are more, and the technicalities are quite a lot for the laws to cover. Because since technology is evolving every day. For example, I'll give you an example how law is catching up. So earlier we did not have used to have. Okay, so firstly there is something called an Indian Contract Act, wherein your contracts are defined how you can make contracts. So therein we have certain sections about, I think, section 11 to 14, wherein we are uh, giving definitions when the communication is done. When I say communication, if I am A, let me write that down. So if person A and person B are in distant locations, so I think this one here could be in Delhi, this guy here could be in Madras, and they are wanting to make a contract where A will sell certain, let's say, goods, right? I'm just making a gift wrap here. So A wants to sell some goods to B. So either A will do that offer, he will offer these goods to B, and then B will send an acceptance that okay, I want them, I'm ready to pay this much amount, and then A will say, maybe he'll say okay, fine, I'm fine with that amount, and then he'll say let me send those goods to you, and then B will send the money. So it is a process, right? It takes steps. So the definitions are according to this only. So when does the communication start? It is when A sends a letter to B. So as soon as A's letter leaves his place, it does not have to reach B, mind you. As soon as the letter or that it is left leaving B A, then the communication is complete as for A. So he cannot rescind it immediately. This communication, it will go to B. Even if B never receives it, maybe it was lost in the transit, but A still made that proposal there. He still made that offer. So legally speaking, he can be bound by it if B had accepted it. So that is a technicality here, right? That is what how the laws were functioning. But then social this internet came, and things started happening on instantly. Everything happens in the matter of seconds. So this distance between A and B does not matter anymore. If you're sitting in Delhi and he's sitting in Madras, you cannot define where the communication was made or when it ended because it is happening instantly. So the law had to catch up to it, right? This is still a debated thing actually, and there are courts being argued upon this thing, and there is a gray area here which is not clearly defined, right? So that being said, this it took time to catch up for the law to catch up to this internet and technology basically, right? So our so, as I just said, there are many more crimes out there. There are many more technicalities to cover for the laws. So we are in the process of evolving those. We do have some legislations for this. We did make some amendments in the existing laws also, but then we are in the process. So for cyber defamation, it is publication of defamatory material against another person with the help of computers or internet. The offense of defamation is punishable under Section 500. Section 500 of the IPC. This is your Indian Penal Code. This covers all those punishments, and this is not specifically for IT, right? This is for entire punishments. There is punishment for theft, murder, robbery, defamation, marriage, adultery. Everything is covered in this. So if you have a punishment for something in India, it is covered under IPC in I think 99% of the times, because this is the penal provision, penal code. We have different laws, like Contract Act will be dealing with contracts. It is not going to be dealing with punishments, right? So similarly, this IPC section 500 has punishment for defamation. Now, this defamation, this is not defined in terms of cyber in section 500 IPC. It just talks about generally what defamation is and what is the punishment. So it is covering that cyber aspect because ultimately, if you're writing something on your social media or broadcasting on the YouTube, right, it is still covered by this definition because this definition is quite broad. It is publishing or of defamatory material. When you say publish, so it covers everything there, and so this can land you in up to 2 years of jail with fine or with or without fine. Then we have 66A of Information Technology Act. Now this act was specifically brought in for your technology. This came in the year 2000, and it does not specifically deal with the offense of cyber defamation. As I said, it was being dealt with section 500 of the IPC, but it makes punishable the act of sending grossly offensive material for causing insult, injury, criminal intimidation, those sort of things. So here we're not talking about publishing something. Here we're not talking about defamation, in specifically. Here we're talking about sending grossly offensive material. Maybe you're abusing somebody on the your social media. You're sending nudes to them. You're sending vulgar things, those sort of things. So you can be convicted under this section, section 66A. And now you must be wondering, why do we have punishments under this IT Act when I just said that IPC is the punishment provisions? This is because these are your information technology violations. We are, instead of modifying or amending the IPC, because then we'll have to have a lot more amendments to make. Every section will have to be amended in order to incorporate the IPC. And then that leaves scope for technicalities to develop wherein people might just be convicted wrongly, or some criminals might get off on some technicalities. So it was better to bring in a new legislation altogether, So what we could cover under IPC, we're still covering, like defamation. We still have stalking in the IPC. We do not have stalking in the Information Technology Act, right? But most of the things from information technology we covered, and we tried to cover them in the Information Technology Act. Now, as I said, cyber stalking, the offender is punishable on first conviction with imprisonment, which may extend to 3 years, and shall be liable to fine, and second or subsequent conviction with imprisonment up to 5 years and with fine. This is with fine. There's no choice here. And the first one, you could have fine or without fine, but second time will definitely will be with fine. So this is cyber stalking, and this is covered under your IPC section. I think this was 354D, right? 354D is stalking of the IPC, not information, your IPC. Hacking and a virus attack. So it is a computer trespass where the hackers enter the computer resource without permission, and this is the key thing here. This is what differentiates an ethical hacker with a non-ethical hacker. So if you are ethical hacker, you will always be doing things with permission. Here it is without permission of the actual owner. Section 43 of the IT Act, again, this is your Information Technology Act, punishes the offense with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with a fine which may extend to rupees 5 lakh. This fine, you may think that this is very excessive, but this is since you could be trying to hack into some company's database which might have information which is very valuable. So this 5 lakh, it is, you've just put a cap here, and this is up to the judge's discretion. He can reduce it, he can remove it altogether. So he can say just you go to prison, and this is again may extend. So he could say that you will be going to jail for maybe 6 months only, depending on the gratitude, the gravity of the crime that the person has done. If it was a serious offense, if he was trying to destroy companies' databases, then he could be, sent to jail for 3 years. That is the maximum thing, and the 5 lakh, that is the maximum fine. So that is up to the judge to decide. Then we have Section 66C. Again, this is your IT Act. Who fraudulently or dishonestly make use of the electronic signature, password, or any other unique identification feature of any other person shall be punished with the imprisonment of either description. When I say either, let me just first read it, then I'll break it down. For a term which may extend to 3 years, and shall also be liable with, and this is and here, with fine which may extend to rupees 1 lakh. So, what all have we seen here? There is a lot here. Uh, Whoever fraudulently or dishonestly. So, if you're doing it innocently, then you may not be convicted for this. Fraudulently or dishonestly. When I say dishonest, it means I am doing something to cause wrongful gain to somebody else, wherein wrongful gain would be if he's entitled to some resource, some money, some anything, and he's entitled to it. I'm taking it away from him illegally. That is wrongful gain. Sorry, wrongful loss for him and wrongful gain for me. So if anybody is doing such thing wherein he's causing wrongful gain to himself and wrongful loss to somebody else, that is called dishonest, right? And fraudulently is when you're trying to commit fraud. And this is, I'm reading out from the IPC, right? Uh, Indian Penal Code defines fraudulently and dishonestly under section, I think this was 23, 24, and 25. 23 was defining wrongful gain, wrongful loss. 24 and 25 were defining dishonestly and fraudulently, respectively. Uh, So that make use of the electronic signature. What is electronic signature now? There is something called digital signature. There is something called electronic signature. Are these the same as if I sign my name here? Let's say this is not my signature, but I'm just going to say this is my signature, right? Uh, so is this my electronic signature or is this my digital signature? It is none. None of it is this. This is just maybe a scanned version or a digital version of my real life signature. But this is surely not my digital signature. What is digital signature and what is electronic signature? So your digital signature, firstly, let me talk about electronic signature. So you have a device, right? Uh, you may be using it for your official purposes or for whatever. You purchase some things, right? And okay, let's go back. I'll try to explain it with a better example. Sometimes this happens that you are trying to log in from another person's device. Maybe you are in a different location. Maybe you traveled to some other state and you had to use somebody else's phone or computer to log into your account. In most cases, what is going to happen is that it will prompt you that you're trying to log in from a different location, or that it will send you an email that you have been logged in from a different location, and it is going to ask you to confirm that if that it is you only. Why is it that happening? It's because your electronic signature does not match. Your electronic signature, is this your device which you're normally using? It is going to associate that signature. So it is not any in any way that you sign anything. It is just your computer that it is registered to you, the Mac ID and everything will be registered to you. So that becomes your electronic signature. So this can be used to identify that who this message or where this data originated from, or was sent to. So that is the simple thing. This does not mean that you were using it. It could be somebody else using your device. It will still have the same electronic signature. So that is about electronic signature. What is digital signature? Digital signature, if you remember correctly, we talked about having encryption with public and private keys. If I encrypt something with my uh, private key, I use private key plus my data. That is, I'm encrypting this data. I will get an encrypted text. Let's call it hash. Okay, and so this is has been encrypted with my private key. Now, if I send it somewhere, the only way to open this is using my public key. It will not open with anything else. Only public key will open it. So if I have encrypted something with a private key, then if anybody, so the thing is, my public key is public. Anybody can have it. So if I did this, anybody can decrypt it and see that, okay, since it unlocks with my public key, this just proves that it was sent by me, because only I have my private key. Private key is private, supposed to be private, unless it was stolen and it's something like that. So here, this is how the encryption was working. Now, what if I, let's say, uh, I add my to my this is my data, right? And what if I add my encrypted private key? I encrypt, let's say, okay, this is not how it's going to work. Uh, I can take the hash of this data. When I say hash, it is a one-way function. It is not reversible. It will be unique string. So I'll add a hash. Now this hash, I will encrypt it. I'll encrypt it with my private key, right? So when I send it, and it will be sent as a single thing. This is a single message. This again will be encrypted, and when it received by the other party, they will decrypt it. They will see the message, right? And on the bottom, they will see this hash which I had attached. This was encrypted, and if they decrypt it using my public key, only then it will decrypt. Without my public key, this will not decrypt, right? So this hash which I had encrypted in this can be used to verify this message firstly. Why? Because they can, again, they will hash the remaining message, and they'll see that this matches with the hash that I've sent. And they can only do that if they were able to decrypt my hash, encrypted hash, using my public key. So in I've proven that only I had sent this message. This was not modified in the any way in the in the path between the sender and the receiver, and that it was not modified. It is sent by me. I cannot go back on my word. I cannot say that this was sent by somebody else, because only I have my private key. So this right here is my digital signature. So this cannot be modified or hacked into. You cannot do that. Encryption is still not broken. So this is the digital signature. So this is the difference between electronic signature, digital signature, and the real life signature. So if I just put something on my paper like a signature, this means nothing, because it is on the digital platform. Anybody can just scan this here and superimpose this on some other image, right? And it does not mean anything. It is just merely a formality. And as we know that we are still working towards transitioning over to our completely technology dependent programs. So right now what is happening is half things are done digitally, half things are done uh, in terms of physical files. So if you're trying to fill a form somewhere, and specifically in India, if you're trying to fill a form somewhere, they'll say scan a self-attested copy of this and send it to us. you can just use a signature this photo of that signature and send it, right? And they'll accept it. But then this signature can be anything. You can get Shah Rukh Khan's autograph from internet and impose it on some document for all you care. It does not matter. This is just bullshit, right? Technology is, or people are still catching up to it, and then soon we will stop using this. This will become obsolete. We'll start using biometrics, fingerprints, face scans, all those which are really needed to verify a person's identity in today's time, because even you cannot rely on passwords. People forget passwords firstly, and then those passwords can be lost also, forgotten also, hacked also. But you cannot hack somebody's fingerprints, cannot hack somebody's face ID, right? So we are transitioning into it. And if you have read the news, or you know that, uh, I think Apple is working on this, and then slowly, since we know that Apple is sort of a pioneer in all these things, once it starts with a feature like this, it will transition over, and you will get see it in a lot of other different things also. So what Apple is doing right now, it is eliminating the passwords altogether. It is creating a software in its iOS 16, I think, wherein if you try to sign up somewhere, maybe your Facebook, or I think the more websites will start upgrading or their platforms for with this. So what is going to happen is Apple will use your fingerprint scanner, your your fingerprint or your face ID data. It will create a password based on that, and it will take care of it. So you do not need to remember any passwords anywhere. And firstly, that, and to just to answer the privacy concern that might arise, the data, your fingerprint data and your face ID, etc., it is going to stay locally on your device. It is not like it is going to be uploaded. So that is nothing to worry about. And with this, you will not need to remember any passwords, and it will be secure. Firstly, secondly, it will be very convenient. You'll not have to enter anything. It will automatically enter the password for you as soon as you scan your fingerprint or face, right? So then that will take care of this identity theft also, because without the password, nobody will be able to do that unless they're actually really good hackers. Now, challenges. So before I move on to challenges, I would like to talk more about IT law. So let's get into little depth for IT law. So the Information Technology Act, also known as ITA or IT Act 2000, it is the act of the Indian Parliament, right? It was notified on October 17th, 2000. It is a primary law in India dealing with cybercrime and electronic commerce. It was brought in basically to deal with electronic commerce, then other things also were added to it, because we firstly there was something called UNCITRAL. This is United Nations Convention of International Trade Law. So this came in about, I think, 1990s. This was, I think, 1996, 97. I don't remember the exact year. So this thing came out, this law, and this is an international law, right? And this came out, and it dictated that since everything now is shifting to online, there's online commerce going on, people are trading online, and so and so, right? So we need laws. So it gave a model as to what all laws you need to have in your country. So India and more countries, in fact, I think almost all countries, it saw that model. It saw what other countries were doing. So what India did, India saw the legislation passed by Singapore. It saw their legislation, so it said, okay, so I'm going to take this model, I'm going to take their law and a couple of more countries' laws, and I'm going to improvise on that. So India created an elaborate ITA Act based on inputs from all these. So that is how our IT Act came to be. So the bill was passed in the budget session of 2000 and signed by President K.R. Narayanan on 9 June 2000. The bill was finalized by a group of officials headed by the Minister of Information Technology, Pramod Mahajan. The original act contained 94 sections divided into 13 chapters and 4 schedules. The law apply. I think you don't need to remember these things. These are very technical things, but then still, since we're talking about IT law, you should know. And I'm not going to try and explain what a section is, what a chapter is. Uh, these are very technical, and I don't think it is going to be much use to you unless you are doing your LLB. So since I have done my LLB, so I know about these things. But then there is no point in talking about them in detail. The Act provides a legal framework for electronic, governance by giving recognition to electronic records and digital signatures. Right. So I talked about electronic records. This needs to be electronic signatures. Right. This. I think they're trying to give a general view here, and digital signatures. It also defines cyber crimes and prescribes penalties for them, right? So before this, we did not have any definitions for cyber crime. So if any hack was happening, it was just not governed by any law, and people were getting away with it. Now there have been amendments. When I say amendment, it means changing. It is the formal definition, formal procedure we used for changing laws. You cannot just go up and say that this law is not working. We got to change it. There is a process. We have to put it in the parliament for amendment. There needs to be debate on that. Then we need to have some majority voting in favor of that, and then it is going to be sent to the other house, that is one house, that is Lok Sabha, to the other house, that is Rajya Sabha, and then it goes to the president for final assent, that is his signature, and only then it becomes a law. So amendments of IT Act, the major ones I'll try to enumerate here. So it introduced section 66A. So 66 was already covering, I think it is 66 was already covering hacking with computer system, but we needed more. So we defined 66A, 66B, and so on. We gave certain subsections to it in order to add more things to it. That is what the amendment here is, which penalizes sending offensive messages. It also introduced Section 69, which gave authorities the power of interception and monitoring or decryption of any information through any computer resource, in a way trying to monitor. And this is why this WhatsApp was in the news recently, wherein because of the fact that WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, Indian government, it wanted access to all that information. It needs to monitor it. And I think, again, this is a debate about privacy versus security, because if we get all of that privacy for us, then we are also giving that privacy to the terrorists or criminals who are going to misuse that privacy. So we need a balance here. So that is why we have, appointed this nodal officer who can look into these things if some issue arises or we need to access certain, messages or something like that. So that nodal officer can take care of these requests on behalf of the WhatsApp for the Indian government. Additionally, it introduced provisions addressing pornography, child porn, and cyber terrorism. I talked about this in the previous section. The amendment was passed on 22nd December 2008. So as you can see, this came in at about 2000. The amendment came in at 2008 without any debate in Lok Sabha. So when I say did not, come without any debate, because everybody agreed to it. There was no debate. They just said, okay, this law seems reasonable. We've read it, and now we should pass it. There was no need to debate. We debate on things wherein there is some opposing views. Usually happens when the houses are divided, right? But in this case, there was no debate. It was passed unanimously. The next day, it was passed by the Rajya Sabha and it was signed in law by President Pratibha Patil. So we'll see some sections of it. So Section 65 talks about tampering with computer source documents, and this can give you this 3 years imprisonment or fine with up to 2 lakh rupees. Then we have Section 66, which is again hacking with computer system. In general, giving the definition of hacking, there is this 3 years punishment with, I think, 5 lakh fine. Then 66A, I think we talked about here, like this sending of offensive messages. So 66B here means receiving stolen computer or communication devices. This is receiving. This is not sending. This is receiving stolen. So if you bought some stolen thing, so you can be sent to jail for 3 years and a fine of 1 lakh rupees up to. 66C is talking about using password of another person. And if you remember 66C, we talked about 66C somewhere in the other PPT where we were talking about identity thefts, right? Using password of another person. So this can land you in 3 years of jail and up to fine of 1 lakh rupees. 66D is talking about cheating using computer resource. If you're in some exam and you're using your computer resource, be it your phone, be it your internet, calling, anything. So imprisonment for up to 3 years or with a fine of 1 lakh. So be aware of this next time. If you're in an exam, do not cheat, or at least do not get caught, because then you can land in jail. And this is a massive amount depending on the kind of exam. Maybe if you're giving a UPSC exam, this is definitely going to attract the maximum sentence. If it is some minor exam, you might be let off with a lesser punishment or lesser fine. But keep in mind that this is a serious thing. 66E is talking about publishing private images of others, right? Leaking those private photos or videos, those sort of things. done by these upset couples who break up over some things and then they spread it on the internet, put it up for the world to see. I think that is a very shameful thing to do. Nobody should stoop down to that level. Then there is 66F, that is talking about acts of cyber terrorism, and this will hand you for imprisonment for life. You'll be staying there for a long, long time, my friend. 67 will talk about publishing information which is obscene in electronic form, sending vulgar things, images or stuff on your social media or through your WhatsApp or any other means, basically in any electronic form. 5 imprisonment, and I think if I'm reading this correctly, this is 10 lakh rupees, right? So this is a lot. 67A is talking about publishing images containing sexual acts, right? And again, this is steeper than this. So this had 5 years. This is 7 years. So you can see that this is just obscene, and this is specifically talking about sexual acts. And this again, the punishment can go up to 10 lakh rupees. 67C talking about failure to maintain records. This could be for some employees who were supposed to maintain those records, maybe the camera footage, the CCTV footages, or some customer feedback, some customer records and stuff, or anything. You were supposed to do it, you failed to do it, imprisonment for 3 years or with fine. And the fine here has not been specified, so the judge can decide, depending on the case, how much fine is reasonable. Section 68 will be talking about failure or refusal to comply with orders. If the court had given certain orders to somebody or some company or some group of people, that is your partnership, imprisonment for up to 2 years or with a fine of 1 lakh. 69 talking about failure or refusal to decrypt data. If you were asked to decrypt data for for the court proceeding to take place or from some evidence point of view, if you, let's say, have some data which is encrypted and it has things which can prove your innocence or can prove your crime, so you are supposed to decrypt it. And if you do not do that, you can be sent for jail. Doesn't matter what was in the evidence, it doesn't matter what you did. For this thing alone, for refusing to decrypt the data, you will be sent to jail for 7 years and possibly with a fine. Section 70, securing access or attempting to secure access to a protected system. This will land you in 10 years of jail and with fine. Misrepresentation, again, misrepresentation is trying to fool somebody by giving some false information and making them maybe pay something, or this is all that false advertising and so on. Imprisonment for up to 2 years and with a fine of up to 1 lakh. Then 72 is talking about breach of confidentiality. I'll try to go quickly through all these. 72A is talking about disclosure of information in breach of lawful contract. You were supposed to keep it private, but you just disclosed it to anybody else. 73 is talking about publishing electronic signature certificate false in certain particulars. Right. This is talking about, again, this is similar to identity theft, but you are publishing that electronic signature for somebody else. 74 is talking about publication of fraudulent purpose. Right. You were, you wanted to do something, maybe let's say you gave a false purpose on your advertisement that I'm going to do this, but you were never going to do that. So that can give you this publication for fraudulent purpose, and then for that you can be convicted for up to 2 years with a fine of up to 1 lakh. Now these are some notable cases. February 2001, in one of the first cases, the Delhi police arrested two men running a web hosting company. The company had shut down a website over non-payment of dues. The owner of the site had claimed that he had already paid the complaint, to the police. I think there are a lot of cases in this, but I think this is going to get too much for you guys, right? I'll I think I should get back to what we were talking about in our social media crimes. So the challenges for social media profiles, right? So fake accounts, there are a lot of fake accounts being popped up, and so before I get there, why is it that we're covering these laws? You must be thinking that you are trying to get into cybersecurity. So what do these laws mean? It's because cybersecurity is a broad field, and it also has certain aspects called cyber forensics, wherein you are required and you should know all these laws and how to maintain evidences, how to maintain a chain of custody. If you're into that forensic part, let's say you have done your CHFI, that is your certified uh, forensic expert. I think I don't remember the actual full form right now. So you have done your certification and now you're in working the forensics. So you should know all these laws and everything, because ultimately in courts and in cases, you will be the ones who will give those digital evidences, electronic evidences, and you'll have to prove it that this guy did so and so that was being claimed by the other party, right? So these things do are important. Actually, they're not for just for the sake of it. They are actually very important, these laws. Now, coming back to challenges for social media, so there are fake accounts, right? Anybody can create an account, maybe using some other person's name and their email address. Also, they can use similar email ID. They can create. It is very easy. So that is a very big challenge. And if personally speaking, if I have to give a suggestion for improvement in this, the companies, let's say Facebook or Instagram, they could make it mandatory to link it to your identity document, let's say an Aadhaar card or some other identity document, which will link every account to its rightful owner, and then these fake accounts will cease to exist. Every account will be linked. So if some in any way that guy is violating some crimes, so violating some rules or trying to do some crimes, bully someone and anything like that, so it will be easy to find them. So that this anonymous behavior that they do, this screen that they hide behind, thinking that they cannot get caught, even that problem will be solved with this, right? People will be more aware and more careful as to what they do on the social media, because they can be arrested, they can be tracked using those identity documents. And this might even lead people to leave social media who are not genuine users. They were just using those fake accounts to bully people or do something like that. So this is going to make the internet a safer place in general. Phishing on social media again. So people pretend to be somebody else. They send you some mails or some messages which have certain links or some files which you accidentally click, or you are maybe inclined towards clicking based on how the message was received, who the message was received from, and all those things. And then your systems get compromised or your credentials are stolen. This again is a challenge, and this can only be solved using by spreading awareness as to not click on these things. There are campaigns going on wherein I think RBI and every banking platform, they send you test messages. Even Airtel does this. Some those service providers, those SIM card providers also do this. That they tell you that do not share your OTP, or no employee will call you up and ask you for that OTP or such things, right? So they keep warning you. But again, we need to spread that awareness. Without that, people will keep falling for all these scams. Public accounts. Now, this again is a challenge because you want to have a public account because you are a social influencer, social media influencer, or just that you may want to keep it public. But then when you do that, you're also exposing your private information, your photographs, your memories, everything. It is data about you, which is available publicly. So people can misuse it. So that is a trade-off you should be considering before doing this public account thing. If you think that your social media is secure, then fine. Then again, I, I think I could suggest sort of a trick here also. Talking about your social media, your any photo you post, you should be careful as to it is not revealing certain information which could leak your sensitive information, maybe your passwords or your security answers you might have set up. That is first thing, you need to be careful. Second, when creating an account, or even after you create an account, you can review those settings later, right? So do review them. The security questions that you wrote, you may have written a question like, where was I born? And that answer might just be reflecting in your public account. So when you are answering that question, do not answer it genuinely. Give a fake answer there. And don't even, maybe not even put a place in that answer. So where was I born? Maybe write Dhoom Machale. Right? So that is an absurd answer. Nobody will be able to guess that. Firstly, then you, I think you get that confusion as to how you will remember it. Well, that is up to you. How can remember your password? You can remember those security questions as well. Maybe you can write them down somewhere, or just save it as a file somewhere in your system. Keep it password protected, right? So that will help all these public account things that are happening, or also those sensitive information that can be revealed from your accounts. So that will prevent that from happening. I personally have such security questions wherein I have given absurd answers to my questions. I think that is a genius thing to do, right? Not my idea, by the way. I heard it from somebody else. I think this was Rakshit Tandon back in when I was in school, and he came to give this workshop. I think many of us have attended such workshops. So he gave such an idea, and I really like that. So I try to spread that idea follow forwards also. Then there is YouTube. So YouTube is a gateway to your watching habits, what you watch, who you subscribe to, what videos you like, which comments you make, all that. Firstly, YouTube is getting that data. Secondly, people also can get that data because there's nothing called private on your YouTube, right? Uh, but you can change that setting. You can make it such that people do not see your subscribers, do not see your like videos, do not see your playlist. Again, so that will prevent that sensitive information, that data that you're creating from going into wrong hands. So privacy settings that you should take care of: do not overshare, right? Avoid putting highly sensitive information. When you put up a photo on Instagram or any social platform, basically, it asks you, where was this photo taken? I do not agree to that. I do not give my location there. Why would I? Why should I? Right? So think about what information you're giving. Sharing a photo, fine. Do you really need to share the location as well? I don't think so. Know the audience. Some platforms allow you to set granular controls over who can see your post, that is only friends can see or only close friends can see. So use these settings wisely. Control your public profile. If the platform allows this, control who can view your account even if you're public. So maybe just limited to friends of friends, right? Not everybody. If that the platform allows, I think Facebook does allow something like this. Control your data. Do not place data such as birthday or phone number on a platform that is public. These data are your sensitive information. Sharing your birthday, I think it is more of this call for attention than an actual share that you wanted to do. Sharing your birthday on the public, social media will just attract more wishes if that you are into it. But then you're sort of giving away some information about you, which can be used by the hackers to profile you. Maybe create a fake profile of yours, because then they'll have that data, your actual birthday, where you've born. So they'll have all that data. They can, steal your identity maybe, or get into your account somehow. So that was about today, right? We talked about IT Act, we talked about social media crimes, and I tried to cover as much as possible. I did not do those case laws because then those are pretty technical in terms of laws, and